because we are here to discuss Beyond Self-Sabotage with J.P. Sears from InnerAwakeningsOnline.com. Did I get that correct?
You got that right, my brother.
So when that's a course, an up and coming course, right? And what does that mean?
Yeah, Beyond Self-Sabotage, it's an upcoming 6-week teleclass that I'll be offering to people all over the world. And as the name implies, and this train is trying to sabotage me right now, as the name implies, the course is directed at helping people move beyond their sabotaging patterns in life. By the way, my experience would be there's 2 types of people in this world. Those who sabotage themselves, and then those who are in denial of how they sabotage themselves. So this course is for those who are not in denial and are looking to be an active participant in going and living a more meaningful life beyond their inner saboteur's confines.
Wow. What does that mean to you, Princess Diana?
That means if you are in denial, you should attend. And if you don't know if you are, you should just do it anyway. Oh yeah, if you do not want to figure out what's hiding inside you, you should just stay away. Because this is powerful stuff, and I'll sign that.
What does that mean to you, JP?
Thank you for the compliment. And yeah, you know, the idea that if you're not ready, motorcycle sabotaging me now. You know, some of us are very addicted to the uncomfortable comfort of the familiarity in our life. And I think what Diana was saying is, if you're not ready to go beyond the comfort zone of your pain and your struggles, then this isn't really the course for you. If you are ready to look at your sabotage,
I don't know.
Start over.
If you are ready to look at your sabotage as a symptom going on in your life, and stop treating the symptoms, stop struggling with shallow expressions of willpower, where we go on a diet, where we go on this new adventure only to fail. 95% of all health goals, by the way, end in failure. But if you're ready to go beyond the symptom of your sabotage and look for the root causes that are going on in your own mind and your own heart, this might be the course for you. And you just outlined who it's not for.
Yeah.
We, on last weekend, I think it was, we actually finally got to attend a full J.P. Sears course known as Compassionate Communication. And that definitely had a hard-hitting impact on our lives, and I was very appreciative to be there, not only because he introduced us to new exercises that we can steal for our own retreats, but also because I think he taught us a thing or 10 about compassionate communication, and it's just nice to be around his presence. I always describe him to be valuable, because wisdom was just kind of spilling out of him the whole time we were there during the course, and I really appreciate him for that.
And you might know that you have some things going on inside you, and you know that you might have a few issues, but if you got any more hiding inside you, this guy will get it out. I guarantee that.
But my question to JP is, while we have him here on the spot, why do this? Why do we want people to bring out the skeletons of their closet, or why do we want to dive into why embrace our insecurities? What's the use of that?
Yeah. Well, that question is kind of like, why does a fire alarm go off? It tells us something wrong is happening, something's out of balance. So I like, when I'm working with clients, workshop participants, and Beyond Self-Sabotage, I like to look at our painful, sometimes frustrating sabotage patterns as an alarm. It's a messenger trying to tell us something incredibly valuable. Now, what happens if we just knock out the fire alarm and don't listen to what it's trying to tell us? So, for me, looking at our sabotaging patterns and what's driving our patterns, it's a very valuable way to come to know ourselves better, to find the wounded parts of us that are there stranded on the inside, numbed out, unconscious, that desperately need our help. So maybe we could even say, in shorter words, it's a way of becoming a more authentic, whole, healed human being who gets out of their own way.
like it. For my own selfish reasons, I kind of describe myself as an adrenaline junkie, and I like to do things that give me that thrill of being fully alive without risking my physical body. So I'm all about this type of activity, and I feel like I am able to embrace it pretty well. I just think that sometimes when JP gets in there or someone else gets in there and unlocks the jail of the mind, that some people are dealing with things they've never even looked at before, and it can be scary. I would be what I describe as fun comfortable, but I like how you put that there, the use of doing that. Why do they want the keys to the jail of their mind?
Yeah. My experience is that we all have conflict about our sabotage. Part of us makes up a goal. We want to change something in our life, and another part of us tries to block that goal from happening. So our job isn't to kill the part of us that blocks the goal, that sabotages us. Our job is to find the harmony of the conflict. What is the benefit we all have in sabotaging our growth, our peace of mind, our ability to live in a more expansive way and fulfill our life purpose?
Yeah, and I think a lot of times some demonstration over conversation can really be more of an inspiration and motivation for your transformation than us just talking. So I was going to try to think of a real life example. Recently, one with me was, because this is the RawBrahs channel, and we might be getting sabotaged once again outside of ourselves. What do you do about outside sabotage?
Taser guns.
Okay, all right. So Diana, do you have that? Can you go taser them real quick? Anywho, recently, and I think what JP is doing here is this idea of becoming very aware of your insecurities and then dealing with them in the correct way. Is that kind of another way to put it?
Dealing with your insecurities in a compassionate way, where we treat them as a friend rather than an enemy that we try and get rid of. I mean, we're talking about part of ourselves.
Yeah.
Living in denial might be a really good place to be for so long, but just because you knock down the fire alarm doesn't mean that there's not actually a fire.
Yeah, and I kind of think when you see wild animals in the zoo, I kind of think that's what a lot of humans are when they're living in denial and, living in that protective mechanism or that defense mechanism of not actually looking at their insecurities. It's kind of a way that we've domesticated ourselves. But I would rather be the wild cheetah in the Sahara Desert. So I've decided to chase these insecurities and not only avoid them but embrace them. And the recent one was, Nathaniel made a video yesterday, and I noticed I got jealous of the comments. It kind of disturbed me. I was like, it was paradoxical too. I guess what's not paradoxical, because Nathaniel's talking about a video not trying to please others, and I noticed that I was hoping, I didn't like those comments where this is a better video than I'm used to seeing, or whatever it might have been. And instead of avoiding that feeling, I've been trying to embrace it and trying to figure out what it is. And I just wanted to know, since that might be more of a real life example for the viewers, what do you think about that idea?
Yeah, for me,
the specific example.
Yeah, what you just described as far as actively finding an insecurity that lives in your own heart, you gave yourself freedom because you have a conscious awareness of it. If our friend Dianiel decided to fight that, push his insecurity down in a way that he was either feeling, or in a way that he was pushing it so hard that he couldn't even feel he was pushing it down, what we resist persists. There's a real good chance that insecurity would have just gotten stronger and expressed itself in misdirected ways in areas of his life seemingly unrelated. This idea of what we resist persists. One, it rhymes, so how could it not be true? Two, if you think about it, if you go to the gym and you exercise your muscles, the more resistance you put on them, the stronger your muscles get. I found in my work with self-sabotage, the harder we resist our saboteur, the stronger it gets and the more painful and frustrating the consequences get in our lives.
Yeah, and I agree, because I think it would. I can't say for sure, but maybe in my past experiences I can give a pretty good guess. If I avoided these insecurities of being jealous of Nathaniel's amazing performance and other people thinking that too, that maybe next time Nathaniel stepped on my shoe, I would tase him. And in reality, I wasn't tasing him because he stepped on my shoe, but in reality, it was because this avoided jealousy or insecurity was pushed down so hard that it came out in some bass-ackwards way. Well, one of the main reasons we're doing this video is because you're doing this teleclass. You want to talk about it real quick?
Sure. The 6-week upcoming teleclass, we're going to meet once a week for 6 weeks. So that's going to be our sanctuary of growing, learning together, going through the concepts and the structure of how of learning how we can effectively change our lives through mindful, heartfelt addressing of our inner saboteurs. And because I have a lot of respect for these guys, and I have a lot of respect for you guys and how you guys are moving on a mission of discovering and growing your lives and your health. Does that make it sound like
no? I'm
actually being
that little
serious?
kid blowing the horn. It almost seems like he's literally trying to sabotage the audio of this video.
Do you have the taser on the kid? You
Yeah,
don't have to use as much voltage
I'm
on
about
the kid.
to send one over.
Should I start that?
No, you
over?
go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, we'll just keep it flowing.
Yeah. So with that said, out of respect for these guys and out of respect for you guys, the RawBrahs fans, we've got a special exclusive offer for you where you guys are saving, I think, $50 off the otherwise already pretty cheap enrollment fee. So the regular price is $195 for the entire 6-week course. Your price, the RawBrahs exclusive, is $145.
Sweet. And we'll just put a link below so you can click on that and get that exclusive price in the description. Somewhere down there below when it describes what the video is about. That was redundant. And I do have to say that I don't think we've ever promoted someone else's retreat before. Or, this is not necessarily a retreat, it's a teleclass, but that could be what some might consider in direct competition to us. But I look at more of as a cooperation than a competition. And I'm embracing my insecurity by saying that JP just might be able to offer you something different than we might be able to offer you. And it would probably most definitely be worth your money, especially at that price. So I would give it a shot if you have some free time. And what if they can't attend the class in the moment? Can you do recordings or?
Yeah, every single one of the live sessions via the teleclass is recorded, and that MP3 recording's emailed to you within a few hours of the end of the live call. So if it's your time zone, or you've got work, or you've got to go scuba diving, or you've got to go take horns away from little kids, the recording's going to find you, and you can certainly participate in your own time, and you'll have the recording to review over and over, because my experience is we give you a fair amount of horizontal information and also a fair amount of vertical depth in the course.
Okay, awesome. Aaron, keep chasing his insecurities until I have nothing left to be insecure about. Because if you keep telling the truth, you'll remember it. You don't have to remember anything. I like that idea. That's a sense of freedom for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And right now, my passion is JP. J Passion.
Thank you, Dianimals.
And I think that about wraps it up. Because real quick, you told us something about codependency. Give someone maybe a little teaser. What's your view on codependency versus a good relationship? Since you have two codependent individuals right here.
Yeah, codependency itself can be a form of self-sabotage. So codependency, it's a flavor of life. Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Absolutely yes. The question is, in what dose is codependency in your life? Is it in a relationship? Is it with a substance? Are you codependent with your job or your play? So with that said, it's kind of like if you take your favorite spice, maybe it's ginger. If you add a small amount of ginger to your food, it really enhances it, improves the flavor. But what happens if you're overly ginger dominant? I'm a little bit of a ginger, so this is hitting home. If all you're eating is ginger, the good flavor turns into a rather sour experience. So with that said, the opposite of codependence is interdependence. So actually with self-sabotage, it's all about looking within, how we can support ourselves, how we can heal our own self in ways that nobody else can do for us. So when we're in a relationship, the aim, the journey, rather than the destination, the journey is how each person can live their own life with the other person, rather than living their life for the other person or living through the other person. So if we can be mindful of that in our codependent world with our interdependent inner world, my experience is it makes a relationship much more fruitful. It makes it a source of growth rather than a source of destruction.
And I liked your analogy the other day about the fractions when you multiply a half by a half. Would you like to elaborate on that one a little bit? Because I thought that one hit it home for me.
Absolutely. If we've got two people that don't feel a sense of wholeness and they try and complete each other through each other, complete themselves through each other, 0.5, well, half times a half equals a quarter. So you've got essentially a destructive experience with that codependent relationship. But if you've got a whole person, somebody's on their journey of wholeness with another whole person, you have two people living their lives and they come together through their wholeness. They can create something greater than themselves. So in this case, 1 + 1 = 3. There's a creation of a whole new third experience. And actually, sometimes that 1 + 1 = 3 is that creation's in the form of a child. Another train going the other way, balancing life out.
That's a perfect opportunity to announce that Diana is not pregnant.
And you are not pregnant too?
Yeah.
You just took the test.
Just in your dreams.
Negative. I do have a question about that analogy now that I rethought about it. Did you say 1/2 times 1/2 is? Did you say 1/2 + 1/2 is a fourth?
1/2 times 1/2 is a fourth.
But then why would you be multiplying the halves in that scenario? In the next one, you added the ones instead of multiplying them, because 1 by 1 is 1.
That's a good question.
He almost tricked me. He didn't get me that time though.
So if we want to seduce you and ourselves with the analogy, apparently, I've never thought about this, apparently we need to switch from multiplication to addition, just to make the analogy work in our favor. We're all biased. We want the world to look our way. Let me look at all the research that supports my opinions and pretend all the other stuff doesn't exist. I guess that's what we're doing right now with our...
Pretty much, I was just talking about that's what we might always do. Maybe not always, but there's not too many times we're not doing or saying something that reassures what we're doing or saying is the correct way.
Feels good to be honest about our own delusions and maybe even manipulations.
Yeah, for sure. And then on the last course, we'll keep this going a little longer. I'm not sure if this will be on the website or the YouTube channel or both. On the last retreat, we talked a lot about the compassionate communication and how to be I think you painted the analogy of a samurai of defense, where you were not always necessarily fighting back, but be able to go with the blow or glow with the blow. Mm-hmm. And I thought maybe we could exemplify that too, if you're willing, if anyone's willing.
Sure.
I was going to say that, for instance, if a lot of people have this fear that when someone's breath smells bad, you would never tell them that your breath smells bad. But I wanted to tell you that your breath smells bad.
Probably does, and ironically enough, you just gave me some of your coffee. But nonetheless, I appreciate your experience in me.
See that? I was a samurai right there. He's a compassionate samurai. But I really do like that our relationship is based on that stuff outside our comfort zone, because I do believe that's where the growth takes place. So if you can create these contexts for relationships where, as instead of living on the surface and only what feels normal, but go ahead, full force, go way outside that comfort zone and make that the new context for relationships, I think beautiful things can blossom, such as marriages and babies.
No babies yet though.
But you heard his analogy, 1 + 1 can be 2 and sometimes 3.
Okay, then we have a few babies then.
Or if it's twins,
We have you too.
5.
So I guess that about wraps it up. If you stuck with this video the whole way through, and we put this on YouTube for the whole way through, this is a pretty good teaser of sometimes what you get on our website. So if you haven't signed up there, I would recommend that. I would also recommend that you say the word, comment below with the word acai. Well, actually, that one's a little tricky. Kombucha. Let's comment with kombucha, because that way you don't have to put the little thing under the C. Yeah, we'll just stick with kombucha. So give us a kombucha if you stuck with us the whole way through. We like to have a good audience retention rate. Whatever that means, probably to make myself feel more secure that I was able to engage your attention the whole way through.
Keep it raw, RawBrahs.